Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Commanding General of Marine Corps Installations West, Brigadier General Calif, I would like to welcome you aboard Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton for the 10th annual Wildland Firefighting exercise. We would like to recognize several distinguished guests who have joined us here today. City Councilwoman Amanda Rigby of Fallbrook, Captain Cluxton, United States Navy, Chief Ken Pimlott, Director of CAL FIRE, Lieutenant Pat Gardner, Fallbrook Sheriff Department, and President Ken Munson, North County Fire District. We would also like to thank the several federal, state, and local authorities who are with us in attendance today. We have representation from CAL FIRE, the U.S. Navy's 3rd Fleet, Navy Region Southwest, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, and 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. Thank you for your continued work and support. The wildland fires of 2007 claimed an estimated 1,600 homes and almost 370,000 acres across Southern California. Prior to 2007, there was not a mechanism in place to rapidly deploy and utilize military assets in support of wildfire suppression. In 2008, the agencies participating here today partnered through operational agreements and training plans to ensure that this would never happen again. Since 2008, the Marines and sailors of Camp Pendleton, Miramar, and North Island have conducted additional training to ensure that we are ready, willing, and able to support the citizens of Southern California when we are called upon. Today's Wildland Fire exercise will demonstrate how this continued partnership has ensured the Navy and Marine Corps teams are able to respond for firefighting services in under an hour. We will highlight the 2 key tactics utilized in wildfire suppression. The first demonstration will be a direct attack conducted by the Camp Pendleton Fire Department on the ridgeline behind us on the other side of the lake. Not only does Camp Pendleton Fire Department support operations on board this base, they will also respond to fires throughout the state due to mutual agreements with both the local and surrounding communities. The next demonstration will be an aerial attack supported by aircraft from 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, Navy 3rd Fleet, and CAL FIRE. Aircraft participating in today's exercise include an MB-22 Osprey from EMM 164, a CH-53 Echo from HMH 361, an MH-60 Nighthawk from HS-33, a UH-1 Yankee from HMLA 369, a UHA November from CAL FIRE, and finally a Bell 407 from San Diego Sheriff's Department. Due to the mutual aid agreements drafted in 2007, these aircraft can now operate both on and off base as required. During the 10-day period in May of 2014, 14 fires broke out across San Diego County. During this time, the Navy and Marine Corps teams provided aerial support to CAL FIRE with up to 30 aircraft a day, suppressing fires simultaneously along our state partners. During these fires, only 68 structures were lost and just 26,000 acres were burned. This is in sharp contrast to the Witch Creek and Harris fires of 2007, where 1,600 homes were burned and nearly 370,000 acres. Even more impressive when compared to the deadly Cedar Creek fires of 2003, in which over 280,000 acres burned, 2,200 homes were destroyed, including several fatalities. While our primary mission is to support sailors and Marines in combat operations, we do have a responsibility to support our local communities. Not only is the Navy and Marine Corps team committed to supporting these communities, we are committed to supporting the communities of our Marines, sailors, and their families. To this end, we will continue to provide the necessary assets to suppress wildland firefighters and to protect our communities. Our distinguished guests will now provide comments on today's events and the relationships between the agencies participating today. At the conclusion of their comments, the demonstration will begin and will conclude with the last aircraft performing an aerial attack. Thank you again for your attendance today, and please enjoy the demonstration. At this time, I would like to introduce the Commanding General of Marine Corps Installations West, Brigadier General Calif.
Thanks, Lieutenant Colonel Sadler. Nailed it. I got nothing to add. No, I'm just kidding. So, very comprehensive overview and a little bit of detail on what we're doing here. Today, for me, this is all about defense support of civil authorities. and the Marine Corps, Navy's, military's ability to support local, state, and federal requests for assistance. So immediate response through our mutual aid agreements that the Lieutenant Colonel talked about, to the more longer-term requests for assistance that would go through NORTHCOM and the local FEMA region for the military to support. It's very important that we have that agreement because it really is a two-way street. There are times when we are looking for requesting assistance, and that response has to be just as immediate to have the mitigating effects that the Lieutenant Colonel talked about. We have a great track record with CAL FIRE. We'll go back to the Cocos Poinsettia fire, and on base here, the Tomahawk fire are two examples where we saved many, many homes and businesses, and for the base, critical infrastructure that resides on this base that ultimately supports the Marine Expeditionary Force to train and deploy. I'll give you a quick anecdote. Last year in July, I was on the job 1 week when Chief Thompson let Robillard Canyon catch a blaze, and that fire quickly raced. Right, Chief? You were asleep at the wheel, right? But the response to that, and it was very fortunate that I was here to witness that early on in my command tour, because that response was unbelievable. How quickly CAL FIRE got here and how quickly that elevated to, basically the issue with that fire is it was racing up the canyon, it was threatening Cleveland National Forest, and we couldn't let that happen. So local, state with CAL FIRE, and ultimately federal response put an end to that fire, and it was a good news story at the end of the day. I'd like to just wrap up today. It's going to be centric to Camp Pendleton. Thank the 3rd Fleet folks for being here, and the Camp Pendleton units and 3rd Mile units that are here. But it's not centric to Camp Pendleton. CAL FIRE's relationship stretches from Bridgeport up in the High Sierra, through Barstow and 29 Palms, all the way down to Miramar and San Diego, where these relationships are built and where we have teams that are ready to go. Chief Thompson's teams, for example, to be part of a response to external fires, and also to have that cooperation and that collaboration where if needed to get on the base and help put out potentially very damaging fires. So I think what we're going to see today is a great example of that teamwork between CAL FIRE and the or our fire department today, and the aviation units that can be called in for immediate response requests. And I look forward to seeing the demo, and I look forward to catching up and talking with as many of you as I can. Thank you very much.
Captain Cuxton.
Good afternoon, General. I have some prepared remarks here, but as the General said, I think we've pretty much covered what we're doing here today. George Shinrock asked me to speak. I have a bit of unique perspective on this. My current job right now, I'm called the Navy Emergency Preparedness Liaison Officer, which is a relatively long and convoluted title. My job basically is to liaison between Navy and DoD assets and our federal partners, whether it be FEMA or CAL FIRE, for instance. So that's my job as it stands right now. So I do a lot of these DISCA type events. But I also was a pilot in HC-85, a squadron down at North Island, back in 2003. And for those of you who have a long memory, which puts us back about 14 years, I believe, was the Cedar Fire had broken out. And our squadron had a history of airborne firefighting because we supported the range out at San Clemente Island. There's a federal fire department out there, but there's a lot of remote areas. So we had been fighting fires out at San Clemente for many years. So we had the equipment, we had the training, and we did it. Cedar Fire broke out, and someone thought it might be a good idea for the Navy to lean forward and just go try to help, which, as we know in the DISCA world, that's not necessarily how it works. There were some complications, and long story short, the Navy never got permission to actually help. But that did spark robust discussion and meetings with local congressmen, federal, state agencies, Navy and Marine Corps, and we started laying out the groundwork for where we are today. It took a few years, but we built a great relationship with CAL FIRE, a training program, both a ground training and a flight training program, and we also put processes in place for CAL FIRE to be able to call us if they needed us. 2007, I was privileged to be the commanding officer of HC-85 when the Harrison Witch Creek fires broke out. I vividly remember the call I got from Battalion Chief Ray Cheney, who I understand is recently retired from CAL FIRE. We had a great relationship, and he called me. It was a Sunday night, October, and I had been watching the news just like everybody else, and we saw that the fires were getting bad. And he said, "Jim, this is bad. We may need you guys. Are you ready?" And I said, "We're ready, and we're available." So we spent the evening preparing our crews and aircraft, and we waited for the call. And the next morning, I got the call from my Commodore, Navy, Chain of Command, and said, "We've been officially tasked to help CAL FIRE." So everything we had worked on since 2003 worked. The chain of command worked, the notification worked, the communication worked, and we were ready. So we flew that week under the direction, working hand in hand with CAL FIRE on the Harrison Witch Creek fires. Spent 4 or 5 days actually fighting the fire. So we saw firsthand how it can work, and it worked really, really well. And that was 2007, and I believe 2008, if I'm correct, was the first time Marine Corps coordinated this. And here we are today, 10 years later. So it took a long time, but it's an amazingly great relationship with CAL FIRE and the rest of our partners. And again, the demonstration out here will show you what they can do, actual capability-wise, but it also shows the relationship in the Defense of Support and Civilian Affairs, how we coordinate and how well it works. So thank you very much for having me here today. Please enjoy the demonstration, and have another beautiful day. Thank you.
Chief Hemlock. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And certainly Chief Thompson, Camp Pendleton Fire, General Calif, all of our partners with the Navy, San Diego County Sheriff's Department, and I know just to the east here, the Cleveland National Forest. It's a unified approach in Southern California and across California to responding to emergencies, in particular wildland fire. You heard 2003 and 2007 referred to repeatedly in the previous discussions, and those were very formative years for what we now have as a solid model cooperative agreement that is being looked at across the country in terms of how to interact between states and Title 10 or Department of Defense assets, in particular the Marine Corps and the Navy. In California, we've had long-standing relationship and cooperation with our state partners, with the California National Guard, but it took really some of the most devastating fires in the state's history in 2003 and then again in 2007 to really push us forward into an agreement that allows for federal DoD assets to move across and off the post, off the base, to support communities surrounding the base, and absolutely our ability to bring resources in really almost on a daily basis during the peak of fire season to support our partners here on the post. But this agreement is not just about the support it provides between Camp Pendleton and San Diego and Orange County. It's really benefiting the entire state, because when we can bring 18 or 20 helicopters into the firefight off the base into San Diego County, it allows us to redeploy other resources around the state. And when we've had, such as 2008, where we had over 2,000 lightning fires burning in Northern California, to know we've got resources we can count on here in Southern California gives us the flexibility to move resources around the state and meet what is really becoming some of the most challenging fire seasons in the state's history. We are seeing some of the most destructive and most intense fires that we've ever experienced. Our fire seasons are longer. In many cases, they're year-round. Just because we've had lots of rain and snow this year throughout the state doesn't change the fact that we have some of the most dry and built-up fuel conditions we have ever seen in areas of the state. And one only has to drive on our freeways, just driving out here today to Camp Pendleton, to see how high the grass is, which is now all turning brown. That's the kindling. That's where the fires will start and move into the heavier brush. We haven't seen that for the last several years because we haven't had the moisture to create that. So again, no one can predict what fire season will look like, but we can certainly say we have the conditions to again be one of the most devastating seasons in the state's history, and we're just prepared by having the training you're seeing today, and this interagency cooperation at all levels is what's key to making us successful. So I'm certainly excited, looking forward
to seeing the demonstration today. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Sure. I didn't know if you were being volunteered or not.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Lawson. I'm a deputy chief here with the Cal Fire San Diego unit. First of all, I'm just going to echo a lot of what several others, as well as Chief Pimlott, have already stated, and that is just the ongoing partnerships that we have with the United States Navy and as well as the United States Marine Corps. I just wanted to additionally thank Chief Thompson as well as General Calif for your efforts and for hosting the event this year. But as many of us enjoy the beautiful weather that we're seeing today and probably throughout Southern California, we have to also keep in the back of our minds that the geographical area that we live in, and that this county in itself, San Diego, has had some of the most largest destructive fires that we've seen, not only just in California but in the United States. So having this agreement ensures that all these agencies are well prepared, well trained, everyone's in the loop, and it's an ongoing partnership between all of us, including the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, that we continue to foster and have these relationships and maintain them on an annual basis. With that being said, it sounds like there's aircraft en route, so I'll let you enjoy the festivities. Thank you.
And as you can hear, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have aircraft departing over to our west there from the air station. General orientation will be, they'll be coming over the water. You can see up behind us, we have the trucks positioned, and they'll be dropping in that general orientation. So again, enjoy the demonstration.
You guys have comms set up somewhere? Are you guys going to talk about the 44 kilos? Yeah, so the gentleman who said he's going to make Thank you. Yeah.
Is it coming back or? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, with the V-22, what you just saw there was a mechanical failure of the Bambi bucket itself. It wasn't able to retain the water, so that's why they're going back. We'll have another aircraft come in here in pattern, and you'll be able to see the actual drop into the water. Okay.
if there's enough time. So they got a new bucket, and
Okay.
they're just going to wait after these ones go, and if there's time, they're going to bring them out to lift it.
Awesome.
So we'll
Cool.
see what happens.
Yeah. So another one will break.
Yeah, right.
Another one?
Yeah. If you can also just say that,
Thanks, G6. You guys are the bomb.
Oh, you was? Okay. So I just... Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that protected fan tail or not? It is. I'm building it.
Hey, this is Lance Cpl Diaz from Palms. I'm just calling.